Brews and Banter.
Hi, Frank.
Hey, Roman, how are you?
I'm great. We're back with 714 Brew, and we have a company with them. So introduce yourself, guys.
My name is Jim Campbell. I'm an NHRA professional funny car driver, and 714 Brew is a local Huntington Beach company. I'm also a Huntington Beach resident, so we put them on my race car for the Winter Nationals and the World Finals out here in California.
Awesome.
Perfect.
And you, sir?
And, I'm Chad Frandsen. I'm a lieutenant in the Army, and I love beer and brewing beer. Other hobbies include like running, fun stuff he likes to do.
Beer makes it fun. Thank you for your service, Chad.
Thank you.
So we're going to...
And Stephanie, I'm Stephanie, 714 Brew.
Welcome back, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Yes, hi.
Wait, well, Jim's here, so why don't we dive in his beer first? Sounds good?
Yes.
So, Jim, how did you collaborate with 714 Brew to get this beer?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a Huntington Beach resident, and I've known Stephanie for many years. And when she approached me about her new beer and stuff like that, I said, well, how about if you could make some labels for me and stuff that I could give out to my sponsors? And so we collaborated together. She brought some people out to the NHRA drag races out in Pomona, and we stuck her sticker on the car, took some pictures, and next thing you know, here we are with a bottle of Jim Campbell American lager. So it doesn't get any better now.
Nice.
Right.
Now, do you have this at the race?
Yeah, well, so yes and no. Remember, we're not supposed to have any alcohol in our pits, but what they don't know, they don't can't see. So yes, no. What I do with these bottles, though, if you'll look at it, you'll see my funny car on the front of it, and these are great giveaways to sponsors.
Yeah.
So I have them try it out, drink the beer, and then the bottle's a souvenir, and they can stick it up on their shelf or whatever they want with all the rest of their drag race stuff.
Hell yeah. Who designed the artwork, Stephanie?
That's Taj. Taj couldn't be here. She's working tonight. She tried to get it off.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, we got the idea from Jim, like what Jim wanted his beer label to look like. We just kind of really worked with him, and then Taj kind of brought it to life. So.
Well, cheers to you, Chad, and 714 Brew.
Chad's already halfway through his.
Cheers, and I want to throw in to Chad too. Thanks for your service.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can see it might be a little backlit, but 714 sticker is on our board up here.
We're on the very top.
714 Brew was one of our first company brewers that we reached out to, and got some merch, and they send us a beer now. So we've been longtime followers.
So fun.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. It's
Wow.
cool that it's reached coast to coast, even though we're not anywhere near that, level of being able to have that kind of reach. But here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I wish a few years back, right before COVID, I knew about you guys, because I was not far from Huntington Beach visiting in California.
You're in Newport?
You were in Newport Beach, yeah.
Yeah.
We spent Christmas with family there.
That would have been awesome if we could have had these episodes before. How many episodes do you guys have done now?
So this will be our episode 96.
96, yeah.
Wow, you guys are busy drinking
Yeah.
beer. You guys need an excuse to crack open some beers and a coffee.
Yeah, we just relocated our studio to downtown of our little town we live in. So it's definitely
nice.
It's definitely a nice community. We meet nice brewers and just people that are tied, like yourself, Jim and Chad, that are tied with brewers, really make a big difference, and they really attract all kinds of people, and we have so much in common. It's amazing.
I would agree. Well, it's nice that some of the racing sanctioning bodies have lifted some of the rules. For a while, we were not allowed to have alcohol or tobacco on our cars. Everybody saw that. And so now NHRA and NASCAR a little bit have lifted some of those rules. So it makes it nice that we're able to promote what we all do is drink, and also be able to promote local businesses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's beer is such a responsible and social beverage too. I don't see it as a kind of a liquor, right? Like you get few drinks and you like waste it. You can slowly enjoy your beers one after another, still carry conversation, and then you know your limit. Take a safe ride home or have a DD, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly
What I
right.
like about beer is it's all about with drinking, it's all about rate of consumption, right? So
Yeah.
the higher concentration it is, the dicier it can get. Beer has a nice, pleasant range where, most individuals can have, 2, 3 and not be off the mark. So,
Yeah.
and I think traditionally that's what people have always done with it. And why old world beers like German beers and British beers they tend to be lower ABV because they're designed for people to gather and socialize and drink for many hours.
Yep.
And if it was a strong drink, you wouldn't be able to pull that one off.
Yeah. If I remember the history correctly of beer, it was created by women back in the
That's right.
days.
It was.
And they would make beer and sell it at a market. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, here's to the women and making beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheers.
And here's
Here's on now, and I like that. Cheers.
Look at 1%. You had a number for that. Steph has.
At one point, I was like in the 1 percentile of female brewers in the world. It was a very small minority of women brewing.
Yeah.
It's grown. It's grown a lot since then. That was 13 years. Yeah, like about 13 years ago now. So
Yeah, a brewing community throughout the United States have grown quite a bit. I think there's over is it 9,000? Maybe over 9,000 craft brewers throughout the United States, and I don't remember exact percentage of women-owned brewers, but it's growing. We've talked to some nonprofit organizations that raise money, and every year they give money away to women-owned brewers. And I don't know how the voting goes, but they say they raise money and then they do a giveaway. So
it's like a contest. I've been in a contest before for that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a contest or they raise money and then just do like a random draw and see who gets it.
Nice. Yeah. That sounds fun.
How did Jim did 714 Brew approach you or did you approach them?
It was kind of a combination. Like I said, Steph and I have been friends for many years. So she kind of approached me because I'm on the national stage and we're on Fox television. So get some national awareness. And then we run 2 events here in Pomona, California.
Mm-hmm. Like mutually, like we both were like, what? Like this would be awesome to like cross promote each other and work with each other. And Jim was very supportive, like 100%. Was like, yeah, let's do this. And he got together right away. The Pomona event for us and invited us. That was a huge event. So that was fun to be a part of.
Thank you for doing that, Jim.
And how did you get involved how did you and Chad get involved with each other then?
So we were just shooting pool at our local pub, like a local like neighborhood bar here, and talking about beer, and we had mutual interests and it started brewing together. Like right away, we're like, yeah, let's brew. And so we just started brewing and like coming up with like recipes, and he would work on recipes, I'd work on some, and we just like got into brewing, and we ended up just like brewing back to back to back, and like it just worked. Like, and he wanted to be involved and invested, and his interest was super supportive. So yeah, his time like more valuable. Like his time was like he was putting in a lot of time to help like get us, make the beer so we could have the beer to do like events with other local companies like Basic Bowl, the skateboarding event we did, just all that kind of stuff. Like that was like the time that really helped to have that support. I mean, not just doing it by myself.
Yeah.
So it was pretty awesome. And the energies all started happening at the same time when Ken started designing the logo that we have, and we've kept now the sticker that you have that we decided to keep. All that energy was kind of like at the same time with Jade, and we just started like it's just this whole thing. It was just pretty awesome, and we're still like pushing through. Like we have stuff like planning events coming up, and want to just keep brewing and keep doing anything we can to be involved in this community, in the beer community, which we love so much. The people are really awesome in this community. So
yeah.
Thank you, Chad. That's outside of being in the service and then investing time into brewing beer, that's you're staying busy.
Yes, without a doubt. I'm a very time-strapped individual, but I guess in a way I kind of thrive on it. It does drive me a little crazy at times, but I don't know. It's just something about the constant pressure that keeps me actively engaged in almost all of the things I've got to take care of. I had been a part of a community in the San Luis Obispo area. And some of them have gone on to be rather successful brewers. I don't know if you're familiar with Liquid Gravity in San Luis Obispo. The brewer there, Brandon Goff, is a friend of mine. I'm actually invested with him now in that brewery. But being around that circle of people got me to want to start doing home brewing too, because that's how he started. And then he eventually got a job with Central Coast Brewing and then became head brewmaster there, and then started his own company. And then after being in slow and brewing for a while, life just kind of took over and I stopped doing any brewing. And the conversation with Steph and her aspirations to make 714, an entity here in HB, that kind of rekindled something in me. And then that's what really drove me to want to get back into it and start brewing again, because I had some new inspiration, someone to work with and collaborate with on some ideas. And so I've been brewing pretty consistently since.
Like 3 years now we've been brewing together. So yeah.
Sometimes you just need to have to be with the right person.
Totally. Yeah.
There you go.
I agree.
when you guys pick out a beer flavor or tasting, like, so when you partner with Jim for this beer, Jim, did you play a role on the type of beer you want, like a lager, how it would taste, or did you and Chad worked on that and pulled something together for Jim and say, like, this might be good for your beer?
Right. So I pretty much went off my flavors that I like. And so let's face it, I'm a Coors Light guy, but it's nice to have home brewed stuff because it's a different flavor. Yeah. So I'd ask Stephanie something lighter. Everybody's got their flavor. So I'm not such an IPA guy. But again, I was going to give this out to a lot of my sponsors. So I wanted something that would just go down real smooth. Yep. And the beer turned out really good. So thank you both for a good recipe.
Success.
We agree forward that this is, in fact, the first time that I have done an American lager. So I did homework and then figured out exactly how to make it the way I perceived it. I know a lot of the American lagers are very dry, but I did want to put a little bit of corn along in the grain bill to add just a touch of sweetness.
There is a little sweetness, yeah.
But that was just my idea for it.
Yeah.
I kept bittering very low, very intentionally, because that's what Jim likes, and that's kind of the target audience we're shooting for, are those people that prefer a lighter lager. So I do intend to perfect it more. I will, of my own notes on this, note that it's not as crisp as I would like it to be. And I know that during that brew session, we were doing a couple of different ones. I don't remember if it was Black Dragon or what other one. It could have been Tropical Invasion, because those are the ones that we've done here. And all of our stuff's bottle conditioned. It's naturally conditioned. So you guys are familiar with that process?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that day I made the sugar solution, the dextrose solution for both batches, but then actually measuring out the appropriate ratio that would go for each specific volume that I had of each batch. I might have not hit that quite right, because I think the reason it doesn't have as much snap as I feel it should is I got a little bit under on my priming sugar in this particular batch. So I'm kind of hankering to give it another go where I measure, because normally we measure specifically for each batch individually. Mm-hmm. But this time we're pressed for time. I went ahead and just made an estimation for both, and there were not equal volumes. So I had to make some sort of estimation with, I didn't get an exact ratio that I feel I should get for this to give it that proper crisp snap. So
no, we're not unhappy.
Like, we're very critics of our beer. Like, we want to make it better.
Everyone's their own worst critic.
Yeah.
I'm almost done. And I have to say this, before we started recording, I was talking to Jim, and I've mentioned I've been to racetracks. You want a lighter beer at a racetrack. It's really hot out there. There's a lot of heat coming from the track, especially summertime. You can't be drinking really heavy beer. So having something lighter like this, and really the sweetness level here is not bad at all. Like I can put these down at a track on a hot day. It won't be a problem. So
I like that.
even though this was like you kind of did this in a rush, it's pretty good balance. If you want to add more crisp, it'll be just fine as well. But I can see this, Jim, at the track. You can, enjoy a few of
Yeah,
these.
crushable. They're crushable.
They're crushable.
Yeah. That's what we want is crushables.
Let's not forget, I don't get to enjoy them after until the day's over.
Yeah.
For the record.
But no, I like it. I think it's good. Easy drinker, really light. Like you nailed it.
Yeah.
This one came in
That was very good.
4.7% ABV.
Yeah, I like it.
I believe it says it on there, but 4.7 is what I use. I use Anton Par Easy Dens. It simplifies that process a lot, and I feel it's pretty accurate. So
Should we go ahead and jump into our tropical invasion?
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
And then, so while we're doing that, Steph, did you you started another company since we last spoke?
When I've been on like a very traveling mission this year. Like I've been to a lot of different places. I just got back from Spain. That was insane. That was awesome. That was a goal of mine to do world traveling from starting my student loan company 10 years ago. That was a 10-year goal that I reached. So that was really cool. Prior to that, I did stay in Ohio and I did started a hop business there. So I'm established there. It's called Harmony Hops. And so I'm just kind of building that market right now. So I've got my Instagram going and trying to track and just get an audience there. And then my first crop is going to be due in April. And so I have a farmer his family's been farming for 80 years in Ohio, and they have tons of farms, and they actually grow whatever people want their business to be and stuff. So it just so happened that I stayed on the Airbnb in a castle that was built in the 1800s for a month there. And during that time, he really was interested in 714 Brew. And I had talked about growing hops, and that I had grown hops before and brewed with it. And I was really into that. And he's like, well, that's what we do here. We have people that grow flowers here, sunflowers for sunflower business in Ohio. And he's like, we started talking about hops, and he was really interested in it. So we are growing our first batch of hops. Are supposed to pop in April. So I'll be back in Ohio in April, and hopefully if everything goes good, then we have plenty of land to expand and grow those. So I'm really interested in that because I actually did give up drinking permanently. So I do miss beer, but I am definitely, there's so many different facets and other things for me to keep myself involved in the community and the brewery culture, which I love, and old world type stuff. So hopefully if my hops, Harmony Hops goes, then that's going to be another business that I started. Yes.
So
Sure.
Are those hops going to be used for 714 Brew?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be I'm thinking on a wider scale. So I will be going on a lot of traveling and giving away hops to breweries and stopping at breweries and taking 714 brews and dropping off hops. It's definitely my future goal.
Well, you start off Huntington Beach. Now you're in Ohio. You're not that much farther from New York.
Oh yeah, no, I'll be there. And I was actually in New York. Remember, I was going to try to do a podcast with you guys while I was in New York. But yeah, so the time went really fast, and I ended up back in HB before I knew it. But definitely, I'll in April, and I'll definitely make time to kind of bring some beers out there to you guys, hopefully, and check out some breweries and stuff. I'm drinking NA beers. I'm working on an NA beer right now, a 0.0. NA beer, and then I also have some other stuff that I'm going to be involved where I can still brew with Chad, but the NA beer side, and he'll be doing obviously the heavy ABV beers and stuff too. But I'm really excited about my NA beer. I already have working on the art for the logo with a new artist. Taj still works with us. We'll always work with Taj and Ken Hope as well, but they definitely have a lot of projects too. So it's good to have a few different artists to work with. But the NA is on its way.
It's a
Yeah,
it's
I also have
growing. It's a growing beer. I'm noticing that they now some airlines serve NA beers, so it's a different market to tap into for sure.
I've been hard at work trying many of them. I'm probably somewhere around 20, somewhere between 20 and 25 different ones so far. Tried. I would guess somewhere around 10 to 12 different breweries. Some of them here in California exclusively brew non-alcoholics. I'm thinking Chapman Brewing and Athletic Brewing. That's all they brew. So
I think Athletic Brewing is now served on one of the major airlines. I'm not sure if it's Delta or United, but one of the major airlines they serve Athletic Brewing.
they make some of my favorite ones so far.
Yeah.
Now, my favorite one so far is from Fieldworks Brewing, and to my knowledge and recollection, they weren't making those 10 years ago when I was first visiting there.
Mm-hmm.
They're originally from Berkeley, but they have a couple brew locations, one in or a couple of tap rooms, Monterey and Sacramento area, I think. But I went there recently, and my goodness, that one was just like I was having an IPA, but less than 0.5% alcohol.
But you feel better in the morning, right?
Yeah.
You love beer if you're drinking NA beer. Like,
I gotta agree with that. You guys just keep the alcohol and Jim Campbell straight. I appreciate that.
yeah.
So what kind of beer is
Well, maybe
tropical? What kind of beer is Tropical Invasion?
All right. So I wanted to do a session hazy because I haven't really come across those much. So this is a hazy session IPA.
Okay.
And I've also been, over the last year and a half, been interested in those hybridized yeasts that do the thiol conversion, more readily. And so this one is one of those type of yeast strains. I also worked with the product Phantasm. I'm sure you probably heard of that. Just to start trying to play with that particular flavor range. So I think you'll get both that white wine, melon effect alongside stone fruit and peach.
Yeah.
That has a lot to do with
Does one have Allura in it?
this one does have Allura in it, yes.
Have you guys tried the Allura, or about the Allura hops yet? Like,
I have not heard of that.
I haven't heard about Laura hops. I was just going to ask what kind of hops you use for this.
All right, that one in particular, that one was Mosaic, then El Dorado, Galaxy, Mosaic Cryo. It was okay. So those first three were in the boil, and then I dry hop with Mosaic Cryo and Allura, and I also whirlpooled a little bit of Allura too at the end. This one has 5 hops in it.
I was wondering if this had Mosaic hop because I can tell with IPAs, there's Mosaic hop. You have that little pop, sharp flavor from Mosaic hop. And when we got into, there was one season we drank a lot of IPAs, and I told Frank, I said, I need to cut down on IPAs. I think it's burning my.
He was getting hot burn. Yeah.
Yeah, you get heartburn.
Yeah.
Well,
Have you guys had snake bites before?
there are many styles.
No,
Have you had a snake bite?
no.
Where it's half IPA and then half of a cider?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're called snake bites, but they're really they cause heartburn. From the IP, for some reason the snake bite caused I don't know. That's last time I was I'm gonna take it easy on those.
So, if I may ask, do you guys find it to be bitter? Because I was shooting for very hot flavor profiles from my El Dorado and Galaxy, and of course Allura on the very end of the dry hopping and fermentation process, but it shouldn't be bitter.
I don't taste any bitter.
It should finish.
Yeah.
It should finish very smooth.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I taste hoppiness. There isn't much bitterness. Very
I
little.
taste a lot of the peach.
Yeah.
That's the Allura. The Allura is the peach ring. They compare it to tasting like a peach ring.
Well, that's one of them. There are a couple of hops in there that are going to give you that stone fruit effect and peach.
Well, it's definitely unique to some of the other things we've tasted. Like I don't really get a lot of the. I don't know that I've ever tasted peach in one of the IPAs we've had.
This is my first Mosaic hop with peach flavor in it for sure, and I highlight those because they come through really strong. And Tropical Invasion, Chad, I'm assuming that's military based, right? Clearly,
That's him on the label.
That's actually me. Taj took a photo of when I commissioned as an officer. I was actually taking my oath out on the airfield at Joint Forces Training Base in Los Alamitos, and that was me doing my, thank you speech, and
He's getting sworn in right there.
Here's all the people. Yeah, I had been sworn in just prior to that, and so now I'm talking to the station, and they snapped a photo of me, and
I had to beg him to let us do that. He was just like, no. And I'm like,
I really
promise
get
you, like,
excited for a long time.
he's like, I had to beg.
I don't really like mentally. I don't really like the idea of appropriating military service for
Sure.
fucking merch or whatever the hell it is.
So many people
I don't have
honor
any
that
interest in
though.
doing that.
Yeah.
But I think she harassed me about it for the better part of the year. I was just like, well, go ahead and do it.
I got my way.
do it. But now,
No, I was like, it's honorable. I think it's very honorable. So,
You'll see there's UH60s on there, like the shadow, like pictographs of it, and I think that comes from the fact that when I was on the airfield, we did this in front of a UH-60 helicopter. So
you're on the tarmac?
yeah, there's helicopters on here with some palm trees.
Yeah, Blackhawks.
Yeah.
yes,
They fly over a beach all the time. Like
I have a friend. He was a Black Hawk pilot, but then he went into doing more logistics, where he would negotiate with other countries to come up with a peace agreement instead of fighting. So, but that's pretty cool. So
We'd be more like Tropic Thunder.
trust me, it crossed my mind.
we actually did base up some labels that said that. We were like, we did do Tropic. I was like, I wanted Tropic Thunder. I thought that was good.
there might be some.
And he was like, no.
I think the reason it came up is the very first name that was pitched to me and what they put on the design the first time said Hot Tropics.
Oh, Hot Tropic. That's
And
right.
then that
Then we
kind of
said
led to Tropic Thunder. And then I said, no, I don't want to do either of those. Give me some time to think.
Yeah.
And I rolled over, I don't know, a handful of names and settled on Tropical Invasion.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, this is good also.
He's
Yeah.
like 100% all him.
So I'm gonna down this down. I'm gonna down this.
Tropical Invasion.
And then, but before we get into our darker beer, we started a little conversation with Jim about these race cars that you race, and I was curious about the G forces. I just love cars. I love speed and the adrenaline rush. I've done a little bit of a small SCCA racing, like it's a 45-second course, even though it's a short time, but it's just so. It's so
Exhilarating. Like hanging out with me.
satisfying, and of course he had to say that.
That was hot.
I'm sure it's worth it.
Jim, what's that feeling like?
Exhilarating was Frank.
That's the next beer.
Roman's
Jim, what's that feeling like being in that car for those insane G forces for those few seconds, and like, can you give me a little bit of a visual? I'm trying to imagine that, like what it's like.
Picture about 8 of your friends punching you in the stomach at the same time, and then I'll give it to you. So we pull about 7.5 to 8 Gs. We go 0 to 335 miles an hour in 3 football fields from a dead stop.
Wow. You guys are ready for NASA. Like, don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's even an astronaut.
So when this ends, when you're done, is there some sort of decompression, sort of recalibrating your senses when you come to after the finish line? Are you there, or are you kind of like just routine? You know what to do until you sort of get your senses.
No, well, I'm focused all the way. So people ask me how much can I see at 330 miles an hour, especially at nighttime when we run. Not a lot. I'm just trying to keep it in the middle. I can see the center line and I can see the wall. But everything goes by so quick. So I just stare at the finish line. If I feel the car going left, I turn it right. If I feel the car going right, turn it left. But everything happens so quick in one of these cars. And then, of course, we have the engine in front of us versus the dragsters, which are the long cars.
Mm-hmm.
They're behind them.
So, what's your quarter mile time?
We don't run a quarter mile. We run 1,000 feet.
Oh,
my fastest time is 3.92 at 331 miles an hour.
So 3.9 seconds.
Ridiculous.
He's crazy.
As a driver, does it feel like 3.9 seconds or it feels like 30 seconds?
You know, as a driver, there's so much going on in such a short amount of time. I know that other drivers have said things slow down. I don't know. It's hauling ass to me. So I just, like I said, try to glance out because, again, you're looking straight forward. So we all know where your eyes go, the car or any vehicle that you got is going to go the same way. So at nighttime, you got to make sure because we have what they call header flames. Like you'll see on the beer, that's our exhaust is those flames.
Yeah.
So if you happen to be next to somebody else and look over at their exhaust, you'll probably wind up in their lane.
You guys have
we're not a contact sport.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
You guys have emergency vehicles at all time there, like fire department, EMS, and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we cannot run without a helicopter on site. The track has to be prepped for the top fuel cars. So there's a lot of work that goes into it from NHRA prior to us even getting to the track.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I know there's special training for fire departments to be firefighters on tracks.
Correct. We don't run alcohol. We burn nitromethane, which is an explosive fuel.
Yeah.
So just a 2-second education. And Chad knows this. Vapors is what burns on a fuel. So regular gasoline, avgas, whatever it may be. On our fuel, it has its own oxygen. So you can hold a match to it all day long and it won't light. Smack it with a hammer, and you'll probably be looking for your hammer in your arm and the rest of your shoulders.
Yeah, my daughter. So a lot of people know what kind of car this is, the funny car. But my daughter calls them alligator cars because you open it up and you get in.
Right.
That's how she was referred to when she was younger. Alligator cars.
Yeah, that's basically because they looked funny. That's why they wound up in funny cars. FC technically stands for fuel coupe. So anything that's fuel is nitromethane. And everybody's taking it around and just kind of do what you want with it.
Yep.
Is there an octane rating for that? Like 105, 112?
No. So like you would have 110 avgas would be racing gas.
Yeah.
Again, ours is nitromethane. So my car produces right around 12,000 horsepower.
Wow.
And so if I drop one cylinder, I lose 1,500 horsepower on one side, and I burn 17 gallons on a run.
He's one cylinder, 1,500.
That's if I do it. So you figure your average car has about 300 horsepower.
Yeah.
And so if I lose a cylinder, losing a cylinder, it stops firing for whatever reason. There can be a multitude of reasons. The side that has all the cylinders lit is going to take and want to push you because you have that force. Does that make sense? So you have 6,000 on one side, you have 6,000 on the other side, lose one, and I get 6,000 to 4,500.
Yeah.
And your cylinder size is diameter much larger, right? In order to produce that horsepower.
Correct. We always kind of laugh. I just had a Chevy, and now we're switching to Ford, so I have a new Mustang body. And there's really not anything Mustang on it except the stickers.
I got a Ford truck. That's about it.
Hey, join the club.
Mustangs.
Nothing wrong with that.
I have a bunch of Mustangs, but nothing with 12,000 horsepower.
You're right.
So, guys, we're gonna. I emptied my glass.
Oh,
we're gonna dive into the dark beer now, the Black Dragon.
Yes.
You get a bottle opener.
I do.
So, Stephanie, tell us a little more. I mean, we can relate these beers to Jim and Chad. What's the motivation behind this?
This is Stephanie on the front of this one.
Yeah. So that's me on the label feeding the dragon hops. That kind of started off as a golden ale. And I was like, all right, Chad, I'm going to do this golden ale recipe that I did like back in 2013. it went really well. And I got it into a few like bars, like bikini bars and stuff. And so that was really cool. So I wanted to try to do that recipe again. So I was trying to brew that with him. But then I was shooting pool. Me and Chad were shooting pool at Driftwood, the local bar here, one of the local bars that we go to here. And a friend of ours, Matt Miller, he told me, he's like, you should switch out the yeast and do a lager yeast and do a black lager when I was talking about doing that. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of ended up like I did change the recipe a little bit and added some chocolate wheat, and like I kind of went with that. And when I looked back at my old recipe for the golden ale, I had used a lager yeast instead of an ale yeast. So I was like, oh, cool. Like I kind of had been brewing with somebody else at the time, and that was what he thought was like the best thing to do. So I kind of like, that's how I was learning from the other master brewer, Dennis Midden, that I brewed with. So I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to keep with that part of it, like using the yeast, the lager yeast, and do a black lager. And it did kind of turned like as an accident, actually did turn into that. He's a very good friend of ours. He did pass away suddenly. It was just like a fluke thing. And he got really sick and he ended up passing away. And so I did get to make this beer, and I did get to sit and drink with him at Red's, the other local bar that we hang out down here at Cliffs. It's called Cliffs now. But he did get to drink it before he passed away that night. And so that's kind of like that's our Black Dragon story for our local that it was a really good friend of all of ours, Matt Miller. So kind of him, he was really excited about it. He's like, he really wanted that to happen. I was really glad that I didn't lag on it. And I did actually make it, and I did actually bring in samples and got to drink it with him. But that's kind of like the Black Dragon. I don't know, like I thought about the dragon and doing like medieval art came to me. And then like I was kind of looking at a lot of art stuff, and I started working with Taj on it, and we formulated into like a picture like of the Black Dragon eating hops out of my hand. And that was really cool. So yeah.
Well, we'll raise a glass to Matt Miller.
Yeah. So cheers, enjoy this. Like it definitely is like a chocolatey, roasty.
Yeah. Got Steph's and I made this beer, but it I'll be perfectly honest, just candid. The recipe kind of confused me. Particularly the grain bill selection. But I am happy with the result. And gosh, I'd have to check again here because it just worked. Even though it had kind of an odd ratio of fermentable malts and to specialty malts, it still worked. And
well, we all know some of the best combinations ever made are flukes sometimes.
Yeah.
It just works.
Just like my Reese's peanut butter cup. You ran into my chocolate, I ran into your peanut butter, you got a peanut butter cup.
Yes. I'm down with that.
This one is weighing in at 7.6%.
7.6%.
Yeah.
That's a dessert.
Now, in addition to the malts, there are some adjuncts added, honey and brown sugar in this one.
Yeah.
So that I know that contributed to getting that ABV where it is.
Right.
But it drinks very smooth. I don't taste any booziness on it. I generally like this beer.
I got into Black Lager for the first time beginning of the year. I tried my first Black Lager, dark lager, and what was the brewery? Middle Ages. Yeah. We have a brewery here, Middle Ages, and that's where I tried our first dark lager, and I was surprised, like, because you're expecting something stronger, something thicker when you're looking at the color, but it drinks much smoother than that.
Yeah, almost.
It's a whole different journey, like on your taste buds.
Yeah.
I haven't had it in a little while. Like this is my first time in, probably a month or more since I had a bottle of this, but. Like the flavor reminds me of like a Baltic Porter, but then it's just not as heavy.
Not as heavy, yeah.
No, all of that, and even it's lighter than a stout, right?
Yeah.
Kind of looks.
Yeah.
It would be that, but good nonetheless.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, guys. I know you're have time restriction, but just before we wrap up and while we're enjoying this, Chad, what do you do in the Army?
Oh gosh, I'm a staff officer in a logistics battalion. So our battalion is mainly heavy trucking. So we have we transport pretty much all the logistical aspects of supporting a forward force. So water, fuel, beans, bullets, and then also the maintenance on vehicles. And one of our companies is a heavy equipment transporter company that can transport in other vehicles or recover them. Recovery operation is a big deal, and in the military, our rigs occasionally break down, and maybe more than we would like because we have a somewhat aging set of vehicles. But the Army has been going through a modernization phase, and I think the military in general, a lot of our equipment and technology and what we employ has developed during the Cold War and was resourced at that time, and then it's essentially received patches to upgrade as we move along. And now we're moving into this next generation of our role, and they're basically rolling out new equipment. Completely upgraded modern equipment. It's not a patch or a tweak or a revision of something that we had machined and built. You have to understand, this is multi-billion-dollar organization with all of these assets. You can't just switch that stuff out when you're ready. Like, okay, I want to just switch out the entire military with modern stuff. It's a fielding process that takes time. Right now, we're in the works of that fielding process. So right now, recovery ops is still like a very relevant thing.
Are you guys trained to repair the gear yourselves, or you have to by contract?
Most no. They're set at different skill levels based on an occupational specialty that a soldier has. Most of them have the lowest levels, a 10-level operator, and they do basic stuff. They're not really equipped or trained to do more than that. If it requires more than that, then that typically is shipped to the rear and repaired there with technicians that are trained at a higher level. Or if you're in like the state of California and you have the vehicle go down, it will go to a field maintenance shop, and there's trained folks there that know how to work on those vehicles. More complicated fixes.
Well, Roman, Frank, Stephanie, Chad, I'd like to do a 714 toast to our military.
Yes.
Again, thank you, Chad, and everybody who protects our lives and protects our freedoms.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.
My brother served 8 years with the Marines, and I'm hoping that I'm ready to do this Marine Marathon next year in DC.
Are you going to do the 10-miler? You're going to do the 10-miler?
I'm training for it. So
yeah.
I'm training to watch him do it.
I did.
I've never done that one. I've done dozens of race events from 5K through marathons, but I've never done the 10-miler.
Yeah, so
that's perfect. I would do the 10-miler. I go 1,000 feet, and then I'll just go ahead and ride my bike the rest.
Just drive your car.
Right.
What would your car do in 26.2 miles?
Be on fire.
26
I'd be
seconds.
on fire at point. Let's put it this way: about a quarter mile, I'd be on fire.
Yeah.
You'll be done with it before I open my beer can.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, but the fuel tank would have to be like fucking 20,000 gallons or something.
Right. I wanted to get an understanding what you do, Chad. Jim, we know you're a racer. Stephanie, you're a face of 714, and you
entrepreneur.
You have your business. Right. So we just wanted to kind of like get everyone's job and like what they do.
Definitely.
And the appreciation that what you guys do outside of just working with the 714 Brew.
Yes.
So Jim,
we're all a family.
Super awesome. I'm so stoked we did this. You have the beers and we planned this, and I'm glad we got to do this.
We appreciate you guys letting us do this with you.
We'll do more. and hopefully someday we can meet in person.
Oh, for sure. That will definitely happen. Chad's going to be working on a Belgium beer. So
Nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Good.
This is true. I just finished delivering about half of my holiday 6-packs to my full-time staff that I work with. 3 different beers than even these. Well, actually 4. I have 2 different versions of a honey blonde. One of them is our summer blonde, and then another. This is actually version 3. This one actually came out tasting more like a Belgian strong, but it's just another variation of the honey blonde that I've been doing for a while now. And then a different version of this tropical invasion. I've kind of beefed up the grain bill a little bit and to take it out of the session range into like a normal IPA. And then I cut the yeast. Half of it was that thiol kind of engineered yeast, and just a traditional, California ale yeast, basically a West Coast IPA ale yeast. And I really like the way that one came out.
I'll send you guys a sample.
And a holiday brown.
Yeah, I'll send you samples.
I did a spice brown for holidays. One of my chief complaints with a lot of spiced beers in general, whether it's pumpkin beer or Christmas beers, is they tend to be overspiced for me. So I really like mine because it's very smooth, and the spicing is very subtle with your cinnamon, ginger, and allspice, but in a very light way.
Yeah, you definitely got to find that right balance.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be easy.
Let's face it, Chad's trying to get his staff a buzz. All right.
That's right. Well, again, we thank you guys for letting us, have this opportunity with you guys, and thank you, Chad, again for your service. Nice to meet you, Jim. And
appreciate
pleasure, Roman and Frank. Thank you very much for having us on your show.
Absolutely.
Stephanie, Chad, thank you for letting me be a part of 714. They'll be on the funny car. And like I said, anybody comes out to the drag races, stop by, say 714 Brewing, and I might find something that we broke and sign it for you.
Awesome. That would be so cool.
Jim, you got any upcoming races coming up you want to mention?
We are in our off season right now, but if you go to nhra.com and we'll repost this broadcast, so you can go to Jim Campbell FC for all of the social media, or Jim Campbell Racing, and that's CAMP. So it's like Campbell soup.
Yep. And Stephanie, you want to put a plug in for something? Anything?
Well, we have our hats and all our merch, and support us. Everything that you can go to 714brew.com.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate. I hope we didn't take too much of your time. Thank you
It was fun.
your time away from your family on a weekend now, and it was a pleasure. I hope we can do it again sometime, and we're looking forward to it.
Awesome, guys. Well, happy holidays to you and your family.
Correct. To everybody that's listening, to everybody out there, here's one more cheers for happy holidays and a great 2025.
Yeah.
Agreed. Thank you.
Cheers.